Hey, everybody, and welcome to a Tatter-a-fact here at the Girlz Ink studio in Las Vegas. Thanks for joining me. Glad to be here with you guys. Before we do have a great guest today, great topic. I'm excited to get to that. But before we do, I just kind of wanted to let y'all know. I know over the last several months, you've heard me talk about Beyond the Epidermis, this amazing, if I don't say so myself, color theory and corrections checklist. It's kind of like a checklist that will guide you to the right target color for your client. I guess a great way to sum it up would be, I wrote it down. Beyond the Epidermis, it will empower you to understand the skin type in front of you, to choose the right color for that skin type, whether you should add a modifier or not. If so, which one and how much. You'll be able to make these decisions for yourself in a timely manner with this guide, no matter what line you are using. This book and these checklists are not pigment line specific. They are universal. So they will be a great reference tool for you no matter which line you use. It will give everyone the confidence, the ability, and probably most importantly, the independence to do just that. Choose the right target color, modifier, and to know how much to add if needed. And imagine how amazing that will feel, especially if you're somebody that struggles with color theory. And I know many do. So it is here. It got delivered today, and we were all super excited. It does come with a workbook, kind of like, when you read novels and there's cliff notes, I think what they called in the novels, that kind of pulls out like the juicy parts of the book. Like if your teacher's going to ask you, questions on the book, if you read the cliff notes, and you'll probably be able to answer your teacher's question because it gives you all the really juicy parts. Same thing. A lot of you have taken my color theory course. Some of you, certainly have not. And if you haven't, it's a great course to take. But out of the color theory course, which is really long and in depth, I pulled out all the really super essential parts and I put them together in one book. This book, overtones, undertones, lots of different things. And along with it comes the two checklists. One is color theory, and it guides you, like I said, to your target color and modifier. And one is corrections. So really super fantastic. Willow worked. Oh, and it has a color wheel, a really unique color wheel that we did. And Willow worked on this with me. Did you not, Willow? Mm-hmm. I think you almost killed me. Should I say a handful of times or a couple handfuls of times?
Maybe a handful.
Oh, just a handful. But Willow worked diligently with me on this. And Olivia, she contributed the color wheel. But that was a big contribution. You do other really big, important things here at Girlz Ink, Olivia. But you did. And the color wheel came out beautiful. But you and me, Willow, we worked on this well over a year.
Yes.
A year.
Yes.
Yes. And it was daunting. It was a daunting project.
It was.
It was. Because I'm a perfectionist. You are.
I am. Yes.
And it was just really daunting. It had to be the best thing I've ever done. It just had to be. And
I think it is, Teryn.
I do too. And I think everybody's going to love it. And it's going to be super valuable to everybody that purchases it. So with that said, we are going to be announcing, I don't want to screw this up, Willow, but we're going to be doing pre-orders on this. We've had a ton of inquiries because, like I said, I've been dropping little nuggets about it. It's finally done. And we are going to be taking pre-orders for it. So we can partly so we can determine how if we printed off enough copies and if we need to get more and whatnot. So did you want me to say anything else about that? Just kind of
keep an eye out on our social media and our email blast. You'll be seeing some exciting news about the pre-order launch starting next week.
Yes. I think it's going to be great for artists. It's going to be great for trainers and all your students. It's going to be great. So great educational support material. regarding color theory, skin tones, corrections, saturation, removal versus color shifting, just all that. Really fantastic. So I'm super excited. Well, all right. Thank you. As I moved through that infomercial. Now we'll get to... Well, Shelly,
Gotta sell it.
All right. Did I just say who was here? I did. I kind of did a little bit, but I don't know if the camera's on you now. Okay. So, all right. So, Shelly Kaplan.
Hello.
Yes. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm super excited to have you. You just came here from Nashville, actually. Yeah. I'm going to adjust your mic.
Okay.
Just
kind of come closer here.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah. If you're going to be facing that way, just like jam that mic right in front of your mouth.
Okay. Got it.
There you go. There you go. Or they won't be able to hear you. And you're super smart and you're really good at what you do.
Thank you.
You are.
Thank you.
And we've been following each other for a long time.
We sure have.
Yes. And I like your work. I like the way you answer. I just like your vibe. I like everything about you.
Thanks.
And so I was excited to have you on here. That's why I want your mic like right in front of your mouth so everybody can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Is there volume up good, Olivia? Because she seems to be a low talker, Yeah.
Got it.
On Seinfeld, it's a high talker. No, there was a low talker on Seinfeld. There was a low talker. Oh, you're a Seinfeld fan?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my
Very
gosh.
much
Me
so.
too. I love Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld. So you know the low talker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
I won't be
don't be a low talker, Shelly. No. Okay. So let's just start with some basic stuff. So if our listeners, we have a lot of listeners now listen to our podcast. We're really super grateful.
It's grown.
It has grown exponentially. We're at like 30,000.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people, it's really become like a community.
It's nice to listen to when you're like, getting ready in the morning. You're like, I'm just going to like pop on the podcast. It's something to, listen to. It makes your wheels spin, in the morning. And
and we're not like spammy and marketing on here. We did just start a little product showcase, little moment, only because a lot of our listeners were asking us, about products and whatnot. So, but with that, I've been giving information. So even that segment's not, all spammy.
Right.
Yeah, we're not like a really polished, glossy crew around here, are we? We're not at all. We're really unpolished. But I think that's what's made the podcast really popular.
Yeah.
Is, it's just kind of the real deal. We're just on here gabbing about, real life PMU things, man. And sometimes, motivational stuff, sometimes, business. And
there's a lot. The topics that you guys have on here are always so different.
Yeah.
And then you get to hear it from all these different people in the industry too. So
which is cool. A different perspective. Yeah. I like that. All right. So Shelly Kaplan, and you're from?
Originally, I am from Chicago, Illinois.
The Windy City.
Yeah. I lived there for 30 years. And then moved out to Los Angeles for a little while.
How'd you like LA?
I loved LA.
Okay. The weather's better.
I don't know. I met some really solid people,
which
I don't think is the case for everyone out in LA. And that's why people are so turned off by it. Like everyone's fake. And I had a great experience.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And yeah, I really do miss my friends out there. That's where I took my first PMU class.
In LA.
Mm-hmm.
So, so how long ago was that?
That was in March of 2018.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I'm counting on my hands, you guys.
I do too.
So, that's why I couldn't be a blackjack dealer when I first moved to town all those years ago. Yeah, I moved here with, my very first girlfriend. We went to black dealing school, and like 3 days into it, the guy's like, this is not for you. I'm like counting on my fingers.
1, 2.
I'm just not a good counter.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's like, you need to find something else to do. I'm like, oh gosh, okay.
That's so funny.
But good thing, or I would be here.
Been a few years.
Yeah, I could be on the strip at the at the Mirage, like dealing cards. Yeah, if I was a good counter. But so about 6 years you've been doing PMU.
Almost,
yeah. So you're still in LA?
No. So now I moved back to Chicago after LA for a guy that obviously did not work out.
Yeah.
And now I live in Florida.
Okay. So let me ask you, how's it been? So right now, I think in the industry, what we're hearing from a lot of people is, the economy's kind of,
I'm feeling it.
Crappy. A lot of people are feeling it. Everybody's experiencing like a slowdown.
Yep.
How's it been for you? Because I think maybe And, you know, when in a time like this, it's hard enough when you're really well established in a city, right? And you're experiencing like a slowdown. How has it been with you moving
and like starting over again?
Like starting over.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And I do constantly see people asking like, how do you build your clientele in a city that you're brand new to? And there's no easy way to do it.
Right.
There really isn't. You have to market yourself. Word of mouth obviously is always going to be your best marketing.
Right.
I did open up my own little spot in Tampa because I was like, I had my own business in Chicago and I'll be successful like I was there. And then I did all the things. I bought all the stuff, got my own little spot. And I was like, shit, I don't know anyone here. Like, what am I doing?
Right.
And my best friend kind of like brought me back down to earth and was like, maybe you need to go work for someone else for a little bit and, you know, just get the feel of Florida. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. And I was like, but it's like in my mind, I'm like, that's such a step back. But I'm working for myself for so long.
I don't think so, though. Only if you view it like that.
Right. Yeah. Right? I guess at first I was very like, I don't know, just bummed.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I understand that.
I was so successful. And now I'm like giving someone my resume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was just like I felt a little failure, I think, at that time. But I mean, in the end, like I absolutely love where I'm working. We are a team. We bounce ideas off each other every day. And like we do all the same things. Like Tiffany and I do lift. We do like, well, she does eyeliner and now I Lily. So
yeah, because you're actually here in town. The reason you're on the podcast is you're doing my eyeliner class tomorrow.
Yep.
So I'm excited. So the next 2 days we'll be doing eyeliner. I know. And I gave you my friend Barb.
I'm very excited.
You're doing my friend Barb. You're first up on Saturday.
I can't
with
wait.
my friend Barb.
Can't wait.
If I didn't tell you that yet.
She likes me.
Oh, she'll like you. Just don't fuck her up, Shelly.
I won't. I promise. No pressure.
I promised her you wouldn't. You'll be good. So good. It worked out for you.
Yeah.
It worked out for you. You're settling in.
I'm settling in and it's kind of interesting, that area. So Florida as a whole is like a snowbird kind of state. And we get an influx of people October through March, April. And then summer is like, it's okay. It's just really slow because everyone goes back up north.
Right.
So that I was like, what's happening? Like, where's our clients? Because it was just like crickets for like all of August.
Summers are a little slow here in Vegas. We'll see a little bit of slowdown too because our summers are so hot.
No one wants to be healing and going through that.
Yeah. And a lot of times they go on we go on vacation in the summertime to get out of the heat.
Right.
Because our winters are nice.
Yeah.
Like we love our winters, our fall, winters, and springs. And summers can be super hot. So like a lot of people that live here, like we'll do our vacations in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get out of Vegas, hit the road.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So you've been doing PMU, settled in both areas, Florida and Chicago. Yep. Okay, good. I can barely handle having one spot. I just don't think I could handle having
it's a lot
two.
to pack up all the stuff and like go back and forth.
A lot of people do it though.
I'm kind of taking a break from it at the moment because it got to be like just too much.
So where are you kind of planted more now?
Florida.
In Florida? Yeah. Okay. All right. So about 6 years you've been doing PMU. How long after like you started PMU did you start learning or get into saline removal?
Less than a year.
So I think that's interesting. And you decided to take the lift course.
I did.
With me.
Like way back when. It was on Facebook. Yeah. It was a live class.
Yeah. Is that what attracted you? Just it was on Facebook? So I'll take this. Or did you know anything about me back then? Or
I did. We met briefly. I remember there was a convention in Miami.
Was it the Microbill one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one was fun.
Yeah.
That was like my first event for PMU.
Okay.
And I was like, just, like stars in my eyes. I was like, this is so cool. I want to learn everything. I want to do this. I want to do that.
Right.
And I remember we chatted just a little bit about like, you were just starting to like do the lift course on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe that's something I should look into. I felt like it was really important to know how to take the pigment out If you're putting it in, you should know how to take it out.
Yeah. And let's like talk a little bit more on that, because it's interesting that you feel like that, because I
got nervous in the beginning. I'm like, what if I fuck up someone's
there's,
face?
Every single subject
Yeah.
in our industry is up for debate.
Yeah.
Right. Probably the one that, not is like, bloodborne pathogens, cross-contamination, safety, things like that. That stuff's not up for debate.
Right.
But everything else is up for debate.
Sure.
And there's lots of different opinions. So I know that's a topic that's up for debate. You have some artists that feel that you should be, 2-3 years into PMU, making sure your depth is good, and
I can see that side of the argument.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And then there's some, like, not just you, that moved right into removal not long after learning PMU, but there's others that feel just the opposite. They feel, why not learn removal shortly after you've learned PMU or alongside learning PMU? That way, if they make a mistake, they can pull out their own work or whatnot. So, I would just love to hear why you feel.
I got like nervous, I think. So my first class was just microblading, and that was in 2018. It was no machine, nothing like that. And I was like, I was pretty good at it. I have an art degree, so I was very good at the drawing part and like, making sure things were symmetrical and all of that. But I remember being in class and like being supervised by my teacher, and I know I made one of the strokes like too long in the front. Like it went way too high. And I was like, I looked at her, that panic kind of set in, and you're like, what do I do? Like,
I think we've all felt that.
Yeah, I'm sure, right?
Once.
That's a definitely feeling.
At least once, if not 10 times.
And you're like, what do I do? So I just felt like that. I don't know if like nervous is the right word, but I felt like I should be able to correct some, my mistake immediately, or even like someone else's down the line, or like maybe. I think I was so new too. I didn't understand the concept of how things would heal over time, come back to me later. And like, I'm like, oh my God, like we got to fix this. And like, it's my mistake, so then how do you feel? Like you did it.
Right.
And of course there's a lot of other contributing factors, it could be their skincare, they're on the sun all the time or whatever. But in the end, it's still your work.
Sure.
So I feel like, as a responsible artist, you should be able to help them.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. For me, it's kind of not really length of time. To me, it's person to person, rather like a definite time, whether it's you've been doing this a year, 2 years, 3 years. For me, it's more an individual by individual. Yeah. Because some people, pick up a machine and it takes them much longer. It can take them 2 or 3 years to figure out proper depth.
I did not figure that out right away.
Yeah,
it took me a minute.
Yeah,
so don't get discouraged out there.
No, and not everybody does PMU full time.
Right.
So they might be just doing a couple procedures a month. And, for people like that, it's going to take them much longer to master the fundamentals of permanent makeup, needles, depth, saturation, your machine, those sort of things. And then for others, they're going to master the fundamentals much, much quicker, much, much quicker. So for me, like when I get these questions, like I've been doing PMU a year, do you think I can move into removal? It's always, it's not like, well, it's been 1 year. Yes. Or it's been 1 year. No,
time.
It's not limit. A time thing. Yeah. I kind of want a little bit more insight on where they are or where they think they are with their skill level.
For sure. Yeah, when I have students that come to train with me for lift, I always ask them, well, what's your comfort level with your machine?
Yeah.
Because yes, this can be done manually, but like, let's be honest, like you're going to get where you want to be faster with the machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So if they're like, I'm super comfortable with it, I'll have them send me like a little bit of their work so I know, kind of where they're at. And I haven't had to turn anyone away yet, so that's good. Yeah. But everyone, that's come to me that wants to learn, they're like, I've been doing it for, usually it's around like a year.
Yeah.
that most people...
Right around that year mark.
Yeah.
And I think probably at about a year is when a lot of PMU artists, they're starting to feel confident because they're seeing their brows come back healed.
Yes.
And they're starting to feel confident. Not everybody a year out is starting to feel confident. They're still struggling, but a lot of them, yeah, if they've got enough procedures under their belt, they're starting to feel confident.
Yeah.
And they're ready to move in to saline removal. And probably because, probably what happens with everybody is what happened to me. I was 6 months into PMU and it wasn't just virgin skin.
That's definitely
hit me
another
up
thing
for,
happening.
Yeah, appointments. And of course, way back then, this is 22 years ago, I'd never heard of saline removal. I didn't know there was correcting bad work. I didn't know any of that. So, I spent a couple of years trying to color correct everything, every single brow, no matter how solid and saturated it was, because you don't know what you don't know.
That's
especially
right.
all those years ago.
Yeah.
And so then, I felt so defeated with some of the eyebrow corrections, the color corrections I was doing. Some of them were shifting over to beautiful browns. And that felt really good, like
all right,
victorious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I just started noticing the ones that were, more solid and were packed with more pigment.
Yeah.
I was just having a really difficult time getting them to shift over if I could get them.
More room.
Yeah.
It's like,
right. So I had to learn all that. And I sought out like Margie Graham and Mary Jane Honke. Those were the two, and neither one of them are, performing PMU or removals anymore. But they were the two, like, kind of the leaders,
like pioneers.
Yes, they really were. And there was no solutions.
Right.
No, there was no solutions. There was salt.
And you just like,
and they would say,
kitchen made your own.
They would like go to McDonald's and get salt
Right.
packets because it's like popcorn salt. It's really small and it will dissolve in your saline.
Oh my
And
God.
so, we would do that. And now we know that you shouldn't do that.
Right. We have a little better options out there now.
We have much better, safer options. But that's all that was available back then.
Sure.
And it worked. It didn't work not nearly as good as like Li-FT, because
Right.
Li-FT is like engineered
Yeah.
to remove,
Right.
lighten and remove, pigment. We use certain salts and in certain percentages and whatnot. So so that was how I got turned on to it. And I think I was maybe 3 years into my PMU career.
Okay.
When I started doing removal. And I'll tell you, Shelly, up until maybe 6 years ago, 7, not one, hardly, I wouldn't say not one, maybe in all those years, 10, 12 years, maybe 5 people reach out to ask me to learn it. It was not a thing.
That's it.
It wasn't. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
People weren't into it. It wasn't popular. It just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
At all. And then all of a sudden, I think when microblading exploded and our industry exploded with, a lot of the 2-day classes, then a lot of bad work showed up.
So that's what's happening.
And that's what happened. Then that's what happened with saline removal. Then saline removal it exploded. And I'm like, wow.
There was a need.
Yeah.
It,
and I'm like, this is fantastic. I've been doing this all these years. Finally, like somebody's interested. No one really was interested in interested in any of my removals. Wow. Just not really, not at all.
And now they're like, I need to learn this.
Yeah.
And it is important. I think everyone should at least know about it.
Yeah.
I think that's something, because there's also, a lot of posts I see and people are like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, you have options. Like here, like laid out for them, there's glycolic, there's, laser, there's all these other things, and do your research, look into what, you, whatever, believe in, want to know, want to learn.
Right.
There's, Of course, I'm going to push Li-FT.
I think saline's the best, though. Because
it works.
It works, and like I even tried topical glycolics and lactic acids and all that stuff, and that doesn't work. Like topically, it just doesn't work.
It can't get to where it needs to go.
It can't get to where it needs to go, and it doesn't have that osmosis effect like saline, so it doesn't work.
Yeah.
There used to be Wrecking Balm. I don't know if you
remember that.
Yeah. That crap didn't
It's
work
like,
either.
Yeah.
And then laser. They can laser. Look, if someone has eyebrow, and I'm not opposed to laser, I send a lot. If they come in with a big enough body tattoo, I don't like doing large.
Do that.
No, not large ones. I'll do them about up to the size of like a deck of cards, like a playing card, and that's my max. And even that is a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Than I like to do. I like to do the smaller tattoos. Like the size of like a silver dollar, I guess. But that's where laser comes in super handy.
Sure.
And I have a couple.
And you got your people you send them to.
100%.
I do too in Chicago. I need to find someone near Tampa, Sarasota area.
Yeah.
So if anyone listening has someone there, let me know.
Yes.
I need a person to send people to.
But I think too, all PMURs at some point, whether it's a year, when you're comfortable, when you're ready, at some point, should definitely learn saline removal.
I agree.
Yeah. And I do think it should be Li-FT.
I do too. Obviously.
Well, Li-FT it's just different. It's the only one I know of out there that can be used around the eyes, so we can remove eyeliner.
That's fascinating to me too, because I always get asked, when I have someone coming to me, they're like, can it be used around the eyes? Because I have migrated eyeliner. I'm like, yes, this product can. I'm not going to guarantee any other products people are using out there can.
Yeah, so, a lot of them state that it cannot be used around the eyes.
So
but
that, I don't know, that weirds me out. I'm like, I want a product that can be used on all types of removal, in every area. So the fact that it can't be used there, like why? You know what I mean? Like, why is it unsafe to use? I'm not
sure.
I don't like that.
Li-FT, right? Li-FT, I always tell you, it's like our anesthetics. Look, our anesthetics can be used around the eye, but clearly on the package it says avoid getting in the eye.
Right.
Because you can get a burning sensation. Some people more than others, right?
Yeah.
I'm super sensitive to anesthetic on the eye. Yeah, just the minute they apply it, it's like my eyes start burning like an onion.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my eyes are sensitive. So so there's precautions that we take with anesthetics, right? Same thing with Li-FT. Yeah. And that's why we made Li-FT a little bit thicker. So it wasn't so runny and wasn't going to really run and drip into the eye.
Right.
That was kind of strategic. But no, we remove. When I was formulating it with LI, that was one thing. I'm like, look, we are removing a lot of migrated eyeliners, Darlene, and these wings, these big old wings that women had done 20 years ago. 30 years ago with carbon.
The things I've seen walk through the door.
And they don't want them anymore. It's 20, 30 years later and they don't want these big old wings and they've changed direction. Now they're not flying this way now. They're heading down. They're pointing down now. So it was really important to me that we could create a saline solution you could use around the eyes. Nice. But on the course, I'm pretty adamant about that. We still have to be careful. You don't want it rolling and dripping all in the eyeball, just like we don't our anesthetics. So.
Right. I have them tilt. This is a little tip for everyone. When I do this corner, I have them
the outer
tilt
corner
their head, a certain way, where there's an angle going back, and like it can't go into the eye.
Right.
Like position your client's head where you're not going to risk it.
Right. That's exactly what I do. And the other thing is exactly. So if you're working on the inside corner, they turn their head a certain way so it drips down onto their nose.
Right.
Right. The other thing I do is I don't do the soak on both tops and bottoms at the same time. Like if I'm removing a top and bottom eyeliner, like if both the tops and the bottoms are like messed up.
Yeah, I do the same.
I'll open up
top,
the
separate procedures.
It takes a little bit longer. Like I'll open up both tops and I'll do the soak. I'll clean it off and then I'll open up both bottoms and I'll do the soak on the bottom. It takes a little bit longer, but it makes me feel better. I think it's safer.
Yeah.
It's safer. I just feel like if I'm opening up both tops and bottoms and doing a soak on both tops and bottoms,
and they're like twitching.
It's going to get in there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to get in there, and it's my job to keep it out of there.
Right.
Right. You know, because even with anesthetics, if certain clients, if they get anesthetic in their eye, I mean, they're like, oh, I feel it. It's burn. You know, I feel it burning. Some people are super sensitive to it. It's not going to hurt their eye, but it's uncomfortable. Yeah. And then some people can open their eyes, get up and walk to the bathroom and everything with anesthetic on. It doesn't bother them at all.
It's wild to me. Yeah.
I know. All right. So, what's your favorite area to remove? Do you have a favorite area?
I like doing brows.
Why?
I feel it's just like satisfying. I don't know. Just while like when they come back and I'm like, yes, you know, like you just notice the change. And of course, take your pictures. Everyone like take your pictures because people come back and like, I don't see a difference. Of course you don't see a difference. You're looking at yourself every day and it's such a minor change over time.
Right.
That like they're not going to notice until you side by side those photos. And then they're like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Okay. I see it. You know? And I think, I don't know, that part to me is like, it's just really satisfying.
Yeah. It's super satisfying. I think I probably like brows the most too. Small tattoos. I really like removing a lip liner too.
I've only done 2 lip liners.
Oh, yeah.
It's not something I see really often. Think I'm gonna do mine next. Actually, I got a little coral in there. It's real pretty.
Well, lip liner used to be popular, and I tattooed my fair share of lip liners. I ain't gonna lie. You know, I've been doing this 22 years. So 22 years ago, people were still like digging on Pamela Anderson and the whole lip liner and skinny brows. But which I do predict. That's going to come back. I think it's going to come back. Well, everything's like full circle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Let's just not get too skinny with them.
Well, okay. So before Pamela Anderson was Twiggy. So everybody can Google her. She was a model from the 60s. You remember Twiggy?
Of course.
So she had the skinny brow.
Yeah.
And then skinny brows kind of went away.
Yep.
Until the 80s.
They came back bushy.
And then Pamela Anderson hit Baywatch and she adorned the skinny brow.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's what a ton of my clients were asking for back then. I'll tell you what, it is way harder to tattoo like a skinny brow, like a brow that's like 4 millimeters in diameter. It's so hard.
Precise. You're just like,
because you can't do circle. Like it's like,
oh yeah.
Like how do you move your needle? Like, you know, it's like you have to like go to a liner and you got to do these tight little circles, or there's just not a lot of wiggle room. Like, like your both borders.
You're at the end.
You're at the edge of both borders, right? There's no moving from border to border like the size brows we do now. It's like, oh my gosh, like I'm on the edge of both borders with this brow.
Don't bring them back.
No, but I think like I don't know what it is about lip liners.
Were they?
I don't know if it's
outside. Like
no. Well, some of them were, but a lot of them are just they're purple or they just were done crooked. The bow is crooked, and a lot of reasons that they're dark, like they're purple or they're bluish. They're just not a pretty color, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because it's the tissue, like in the vermilion area. I've never really. I really don't know why, but lip liners just remove really quick and easy for me. Okay. I've just always got really great results within one to 2 sessions with lip liners, just pulling them out and light. Sometimes I could, last year I did this lip liner. It was like a dark purple, and I did 2 sessions on it, and it lightened it down, and it wasn't badly done, placed. It was just the color was really bad. But after 2 sessions, it removed all the purple and the darkness, and it was kind of like this soft pink. Okay. And it ended up being really pretty.
Client was like, client liked it.
Yeah. Right, so we didn't need to go any further with the removal. Yeah. And it was a really pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting that, but sometimes I have found that happens with eyebrows. You think
what happened with mine.
Right.
So I have nothing on them right now. This is it. There's no like brow mascara or anything. So Tiffany and I did a removal on mine because we were going to do a touch-up. Because I haven't had a touch-up since 2019.
Okay.
So it's been a minute.
All
and
right.
I was like, I feel like they could use a freshen up, and maybe a little shape up. And then I was thinking about it and I was like, maybe we should just do a removal. I want to know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Did
they need to
weird.
be removed? Or not really? You just wanted to see what it felt
I feel
like?
like this side is like, it's not like sharp. There's no like sharp, nice tail. It's like a blob.
Okay.
And a little bit on this side too.
Okay.
They're not lovely anymore.
Okay.
But they're fine.
Right.
They're like, no one's like looking at them like, wow, look at those eyebrows. Like they're fine.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm looking at them. They look fine.
they look fine, right?
Yeah.
So this part lightened from the center to maybe about here. And then this darkened.
At first.
For the
the
one that
first
we
session.
did.
Yeah.
We might do another one just on the tails.
Yes.
Because, as we know, that can happen.
Yeah.
And people see that and
They get nervous.
they're like, what's going on? Like, why is this darker? And then you got to explain, like, it's like a magnet and like, it's coming
Yeah.
up. It's coming out.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're crazy. I'm
Well,
like,
if
no, I swear.
Yeah. So let's explain to our people tuning in.
Yes.
So if once pigment, it's like osmosis, right? So it just draws the pigment up.
Yep.
And so the salt and whatnot. And if pigment gets to just below the surface, but not this, if pigment reaches the surface in a session, it's going to get caught up in the scab,
Right.
and it's going to scab off, and there goes
And it'll go
the
away.
color.
Right.
But some pigment doesn't reach
Go all the way up there.
doesn't go all the way up,
it's
doesn't
getting there.
reach the surface.
Right.
It stops moving upwards just under the surface.
Mhm.
So when that happens, the pigment can appear darker because there's less skin covering it. It's
Right.
not down in the dermal area anymore.
Right.
It's moved up. It's moved upward, close to the surface. So it's appearing darker.
Yep.
So yeah, it doesn't happen with every removal for sure, but it does happen with some. So yeah,
I always found that fascinating.
it is fast. I think removal itself is so fascinating because, like, especially like with lift, like you could just use your PMU machine.
Right.
There's no magnet this or fancy technology, or it's just nature.
Right.
It's so there's no acids. It's just I don't want to say it's just salt because we spent 2 years, Li and me, sourcing different salts, trying because not all salts are the same.
Mm-hmm.
So and so pick some different salts, paired salts, and then the percentage. What should the percentage of each salt be? And what should the total overall percentage of salt be in that bottle? That was hard to figure out.
Yeah.
Because if it's too strong, you can burn. Salt can burn
Right.
an open wound,
Mhm.
right? And but if it's too weak, then it's not going to be as effective as you would want it to be. So it was
Yeah.
finding this perfect strength that was not going to be harmful, not going to burn anybody, yet get that pigment moving upward and out of the skin. So so we go over all that on the course, but I find saline removal just in itself, it's just the
science of it really,
yeah,
I think, attracted me to it.
Yeah,
I was
right.
like,
It's just
that is so
phenomenal,
cool.
like natural science, like just what like nature can do, what we
Yeah.
can do with natural things found, on Earth,
Yeah.
without adding can do is just really mind blowing to me.
I think
it's wonderful.
something in the course, I'll never get that image out of my mind when you did. It was like a demo with the potato.
Oh, that's a
you know?
fantastic.
And I'm like,
yeah.
it was like, bing. It just made sense.
It made sense,
Yeah.
right? Well,
Yeah.
I'm somebody when I teach, I like to give analogies.
I love that.
because
Yeah.
not everybody absorbs knowledge
Right.
the same way.
Yeah.
And what about the cucumber? Like
That too.
That's Na Sang, right?
Yeah.
Our girl. So her son was sitting she's a lift trainer. So her son was sitting at the kitchen table with a cucumber and put salt on it
Mm-hmm.
and water.
The moisture.
Yes. All of a sudden there's beads of water on the surface of the cucumber. And he was like, Mom, is this what you mean by,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Oh, how funny.
yeah. And so she snapped a picture of that photo. I'm like, can I use that in my list card? She's like, yes.
That's awesome.
It's just phenomenal. So that's what we did with Li-FT. And then of course we threw in some orange seed extract and some lemon seed extract and a little of this and a little of that. All natural ingredients, no chemicals. All right.
Fantastic.
So brows, your favorite area. Got it.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite area?
Fingers.
Why?
Not that I hate actually doing it, but the healing process of that is just, it's counterproductive because we're always washing our hands. It doesn't give it time to properly heal and scab. You know, even just the movement of it, not even just the hand washing, but nothing can scab if it's constantly in motion, you know?
You know, when I was, and the same thing for putting in pigment on the hands, like hand tattoos, finger tattoos. When I was in my apprenticeship years ago with Eddie Lynn here at the Skin Factory, he didn't do finger tattoos and hand tattoos. He didn't allow them in his shop.
Really?
Yeah. And of course I asked why. And he said, basically he's just because they heal like shit.
They heal like shit. Yeah.
They heal like shit.
Everyone I know that got one of those mustache, remember that was a thing?
Yeah.
They look like just a squiggly, ugly line on their hand now.
They can get infected because you're right. You're washing them. We do a lot with our fingers and hands, and they're in water a lot. I mean, you gotta
you gotta wash your hands.
Yeah, or you go tinkle.
Right.
Wash your hands. I mean, it's kind of gross if you're not.
Exactly.
So yeah, I agree with you. It's not. I do it too. I will remove finger and hand tattoos.
I explain though, like, hey, we might not
the bikini area.
I've never done one there.
I don't enjoy the bikini area.
Well, that gets sweaty.
Yeah.
And
well, because it's kind of like the same thing with fingers and hands. It's just one of those spots.
It's moving.
Yeah, and I've done I was a tattoo artist for years, and I put a lot of tattoos. It used to be really popular for girls to get the little
Playboy bunny and the
down on their bikini line, down on their panty line, and and that was the only area where I had complications with tattoos healing was when I would put them down there by the panty line.
And clothing's constantly rubbing.
And it can't breathe, right?
Yeah.
It's covered constantly, and it's being rubbed on by the edge
elastic
of,
or
by
whatever,
the elastic, the edge of your bloomers.
Your bloomers.
Yeah. So removing a tattoo down in that bikini area, because I've done a couple removals.
Okay.
I did one on a gal, and she was marrying, I don't want to get this wrong. If I do, forgive me in advance, but I do believe it was a Mormon man.
Oh.
And she was not Mormon.
Okay. So no tattoos allowed.
Yeah. So she had a tattoo in her bikini line, and she was going through the removal process in order to move forward with the wedding. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm correct when I say it was the Mormon religion, but I could be wrong with that. But it was a religious-based reason for get it removed.
Okay.
Yeah. And they just heal slower. And the slower a tattoo heals, or a removal procedure, or the slower any wound heals, the more risk for complication.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I get a little worried about fingers, hands, and the bikini area, but
because I do get asked all the time, like, can you do these on my, inside fingers, on top? I get a lot of too. And I'm like, I mean, we can do what we can do.
Yeah.
But it's a big commitment afterwards. Like, yes, I want you to keep your hands clean, but you really got to kind of limit that movement, because nothing can scab if it's constantly in motion.
No. If I get asked to do like a finger tattoo, or like on the hand now, especially fingers, like I use like Li Pigments Onyx.
Yeah.
And iron oxide. Yeah. So because, black tattoo carbon will stay in the skin for years and years. If pigment stays in the skin too long, especially in some areas, like fingers, it just turns into a blob.
Yeah.
It ends up not looking good. It turns in, and women end up not liking them.
Of course.
They look really good at first, and they can look good for a while.
It's a blobby mess on them.
Yeah. Then you got a blobby mess on your finger. So why not tattoo it in with a mineral black, or an organic black? Then it will fade out in 5 years. And what I find is I did a finger tattoo probably 8 years ago with onyx, all inorganic, no carbon, but it's a black. It's a really good black eyeliner. And
I bought that actually.
Yeah,
so I have it ready when I get home.
Yeah, and it took in about 5 years. It lasted about 5 years.
Okay,
and then it just slowly like faded out. So
perfect.
No harm, no foul. Yeah.
No not blob, everyone knows that.
No blob there.
No blob there.
No blob there. So what's the number one question? So you teach. So let's tell everybody that. You teach lift.
I do.
Saline removal in your Florida location.
We do teach it there. Tiffany, actually, the one I work with at Kala Ink and Aesthetics, is a lift trainer as well. How crazy is that? There's only like 30 of us in the whole world, and 2 of us work at the same location.
Yeah, that's wow.
I know. And then I was teaching in Illinois as well. So when I'd go back to Chicago and do 2 days of permanent makeup, and then I'd take 1 day, and I only take 1 student at a time because I felt it was very
for lift. You do 1 student
I like
at a time.
Doing 1 student because they get all my attention. Yeah, I get to ask all their questions. And like the room that I'm working in isn't like super big either, so it's like
I don't like
too
doing
crowded.
1 student anymore.
No,
I kind of grew out of that.
Yeah.
Just be honest. I used to do 1-on-1s, and then I started doing 2-on-1s.
Okay, and I think I could handle that.
I prefer 2. Well, tomorrow I got a 3-on-1.
Oh, no.
You're one of the 3. We'll see how I manage that.
All right.
But 3-on-1s is the most I'll do. Last year I was doing 4-on-1s, and that was too heavy for me.
Yeah,
it was a little too much, and I had to pull in like one of my artists, either Michonne or Amy. Someone
to come in.
had to come in and help. Yeah, and I'll have apprentices around tomorrow helping out. If we need this or need that or whatnot. Cool. But what I like about the 2-on-1, Shelly, is they have each other. So they can chat and they get to know each other, and then they form a little bond, a little friendship. That's and nice. The most important reason is it allows me to take a
little break.
Go take a little break. Yeah. And I don't feel
okay, I could see that.
Yeah, like just like
you're like gotta be on it all the time.
Yeah, just to dip out for 10 minutes and go rejuvenate. Yeah. And
because it is a lot.
Yeah. And then they have each other to sit and I'll say, okay, you guys, I want you to go over this particular, section of the notes. Okay. I'll be back and I'm going to give you a little quiz. And then I can just go, dip out a little bit. And, and I found with 1, it's like you don't have that luxury. It's like they're really focused on you and that's it.
True. They're dependent on you for everything.
So I like the 2-on-1s. I really do.
All right.
So what's the number one question you get about removal? Like,
from clients, it's always how many sessions is this?
How many sessions? Yeah, us too.
I feel like that's the number one.
That's the number one, and not even just clients, but even on the lift board.
Oh yeah.
And in my course,
you were very specific, and you're like, don't ever give them a number. Like, you don't know.
In my course, right? In writing, verbally on a video, I tell them, don't ever do it. Yeah, and then don't go on the lift board and post a picture and say, how many sessions do you think? Because we're not going to give you a number.
No. I don't have a crystal ball. Like, I can't see the future here. I don't know. I don't have the answers.
There's just too many variables. I'll tell you, like, all my years experience and then the artists here, because we've always had, besides me, an additional 2 or 3 artists doing removals here. So we do a lot of removals. And we all get excited. We call each other in each other's rooms or, whatnot. But I would say from our experience, anywhere from like 1 to 7, I would say that's the
average.
Yes. And I would say the average to get to where I can either color shift it.
Right.
Or it's pulled out of the skin to where
the client's happy.
The clients, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
I would say the average is probably 4.
Yeah. That's a pretty solid number for that, I think.
I think that's pretty realistic. And every now and then you'll do 1 session and they come back and you're like, oh my freaking Lord. What? Oh my gosh. You're just so stoked. You cannot believe that much pulled
It's
out.
so different, like to watch that from client to client. Like sometimes you'll do one, you're like, wow, I really didn't see any difference here.
Yeah.
And that's discouraging to me. But also it's like, okay, well, we got to do another one, and like, let's just keep going and we'll see what happens. And as much as I hate having people having to come back and do it again when they know, they can feel it when you're just like, oh man,
yeah,
like didn't really go as planned there. But, and they come back in and most of them have confidence in me that, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And like, they're going to come back. And
right.
I would say 90% of the clients are like, all right, I trust you. And, let's keep going.
I tried to express in the course, to the artist taking the course, moving into saline. I tried to really express like encouragement for us artists not to get discouraged. It might have taken 30 minutes. Well, nowadays with a single needle, 3 hours. Just kidding. But anywhere from an hour, to 3 hours to put that pigment in the skin.
Yep.
Right. But it can take, 1 to 7 sessions. And sometimes, 3 sessions in, maybe you see, 10% lightening. And as an artist, we're discouraged, myself included. And I'm just like, you and everybody else, I get discouraged too sometimes.
For sure.
But then on that then you do a 4th session. And that 4th session was the session that pulled it all out.
Right.
And if I had stopped at 3 because I was discouraged or I allowed my client to get discouraged, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that 4th session.
Sure.
And we wouldn't have pulled all that pigment out and now gotten to her in a place where now we can put a beautiful brow. So I hope I expressed that really, really well. I think it's the responsibility. First, the artist has to stay motivated.
Yeah.
Right. And not lose encouragement, because it is a process.
It is.
And you're going to pull it out. It's coming out.
Yeah. I always sit them down though in the beginning and I'm like, this is going to be a process.
Yeah.
Like this is not quick fix, one and done kind of thing. I put that in their head.
And laser's not either. Even if they went to laser by all means is not either.
Right.
I actually think lift can remove pigment quicker than laser in many cases. Maybe not in all cases, but it's comparable or quicker.
Yeah. I feel like in the oranges, the yellows, the reds.
Yeah.
Where laser's like, can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I love stepping in and then doing that and pulling those yellows out.
And we can get the titaniums out too.
Yeah.
Where laser can't.
The camouflage colors.
A lot of that. There's a lot of that. I just
so
did one
much
of those.
Of that.
Yeah. 100%. So we're so definitely it's the artist, it's the tech. They have to stay motivated, they have to stay encouraged, and it's up to us to keep the client motivated and keep them from getting discouraged. And what you just said earlier, it all starts with honest communication.
Yeah, it really
and
does.
educating the client.
You got to do that,
right?
Because if they walk in, first of all, they don't know what this is.
Yeah,
if they're like, I don't know, someone told me about it. So I'll sit down and explain, like, here's how it works and here's what's happening. Here's what we're doing today. Here's what might happen. Here's what might not happen.
Right.
And I put every scenario into their head. So when they call us 2 weeks later and they're like, nothing's happening, I'm like, I know. Remember when I said da 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 da? They're like, oh, yeah. Okay. And then they kind of chill a little bit,
That's why we kind of launched the Lift website. So techs and artists and clients,
all the info.
Yeah, you can send them right to the Lift website, and it's just chock full of everything someone would need to know about Lift, us, why it works, how osmosis works, all the different stages, and there's lots of information for the public. I thought that was important.
I think it's very important.
Yeah. What else? Emergency removal. Let's end it with emergency removal.
I love emergency removal.
I know.
I haven't had to do one in a long time. I was doing them in Chicago. I'm not kidding you, like at least once a month for a good period of time.
Yeah.
And they were bad. They were coming in like, and a lot of girls would come in tears and,
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna do what we can. And like, you got to be their cheerleader. You really got to like keep their spirits up a little bit here. It's not hopeless. And I had one girl that came in, my like poster child one, that one I was telling about earlier, that like they were so bad. She came in, she's laughing, and I was like, okay, like this is new, because they don't come in laughing ever. They're upset, they're angry, they just spent money on this, and that no one wants to, their artist was like, well, sorry, like I don't know, a lot of the times I feel like the artists are like, just wait it out. They kind of tell them like it'll heal softer, lighter, whatever. But if you're upset and it doesn't look good, like it's your face, you have the right to feel that way.
Yeah.
So anyway, she came in laughing, and she's like, I don't know, my friend did this, and I don't know what I was thinking to like let her do it. And I'm like, well, okay, like let's see what we can do. And her boyfriend came in, and he's like laughing at her too. They were just like in such good spirits. I don't know how. I was like, I'd be so pissed if that was me right now. But we got it all out. Came out, and like I saw her. She was a model I was doing a brow lamination class like 12 weeks later. And she's like, can I come in and be your model? And I was like, well, yeah, you're all healed up, and now I can get some after photos from your emergency removal, because that doesn't always happen.
Right.
We don't usually see those people again unless they need more sessions.
Right.
So she was just so thankful that, I was there and able to help her. And she's like, you saved my life. I can't believe I was so stupid. I'll never do that again.
Yeah, I know. I think the last emergency removal I did, a lot of the girls do them here, but she was melanin enriched gal, probably a Fitz 5.
Okay.
I would say. Yeah, and big, blocky.
Oh.
Eyebrows.
And it like breaks your heart.
Yeah.
I'm like, how could someone do that to someone?
And you know what she did? She left the salon that she got them done in, and she was a super cute girl, and she sat out in the driveway at the parking lot of where she got them done, and she got online immediately.
Okay.
Yes, immediately. She hated her eyebrows. And she told, what do I do? Told the technician that she didn't like them. Can she take them? And the gal said no. You have to wait till they heal. And that's what we used to have to do back in the day before, emergency removal. That's what I was taught all these years. That was the protocol for removal. Is you couldn't remove a fresh eyebrow or anything fresh. It had to heal, and it had to heal 6 months. Then you would bring them back in, and then you would
adjust
break open the skin and do all that. But it was always let them heal in. And I was telling you earlier before we went live on the podcast that the way I discovered emergency removal was, just a long story short, I know I've told this story before, was for years in my classrooms, people would make little blips. Like you talked about that one stroke that you made a little bit too long. Well, I've had that happen in my classes with brows or eyeliner, little bloopers. So I would take saline, solution, and I would just put it on the little area that was, pulled out a little too long or a little too thick, and it would not heal in.
Right.
And that was just a little trick of mine, being in the training room for all those years that I would do. And it generally worked pretty darn well. But I don't know why, Shelly, but not that I didn't think about it when I would get these calls. Why I don't know what took me so long with these calls. I just got my brows done. Can you pull it out? Is there anything you do? And I would say no. Although I was doing that in the classroom.
Sure. I think it just didn't like click together.
No, and not that I didn't ponder it, but I think I was afraid because it was a bigger area.
Right.
In the classroom, it's these tiny little areas. And this is a pair of eyebrows, 2 eyebrows. And
big surface area there.
Big surface area. And it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what would happen. Am I going to hurt her skin? Am I going to burn her skin?
Sure.
I wasn't sure because no one had done it before ever.
Right.
So, a lady, and she called, and one of her kids were getting married, and she called an emergency. Are you sure there's nothing you do? And it's an emergency. So anyway, that's how the term.
It got cool from her.
Yeah, I remember telling Kat, I'm staying late. I'm waiting. I'm doing this emergency removal. And it just kind of, the term stuck. It just stuck. And now what's cool, it's a service. Like I'll go on people's websites, emergency removal. I'm like,
Oh,
emergency removal is not just like two words I threw together.
Like
it's a
its
service.
own thing, yeah.
It's a thing now. It's a service that we can offer in PMU.
Yes.
Oh, that's just the badass. That's just so cool for me.
Awesome.
But anyway, so anyway, she went right to, 10 minutes after getting them done in the parking lot and
so
starts
it was like, bam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starts new. So yeah, new. She didn't want them on her face.
Oh, no.
Starts Googling, found Girlz Ink. And I wasn't in the studio. So one of the girls, can I come in? And I came in and we did an emergency removal on her. And she was not laughing.
No,
that
was a very rare case that I had.
Yeah. She was really scared. And she was really upset. And what I did appreciate about her, she didn't bash the other tech. It wasn't any of that. She was just really scared.
Okay.
And she was really upset. And so we did emergency removal. Yeah. And I would say 90% of it pulled out.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got great after pictures.
Everyone just feels good when that happens. Yeah. They're happy.
So of course you always ask them, so you want, once this heals, do you want to go back in? Some of them right away are like, yes.
Yeah.
And then some of them are like, I think I'm going to sit on that for a while. let me sit with that. Let me stew with that for a while. I'm not quite ready to dip back in.
Right.
So, but anyway, we've got a lot of it out, about 90%.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I find I get anywhere from, I would say 70 to 100% of it out.
Yeah. That's a pretty good number. I'd say about, most of them is about 90%.
Yeah.
I've had a couple where it's like been like 70. And
yeah.
Then I'm wondering like how damaged their skin is from whatever, procedure they went through. Because some I'm like, wow, she like was in there,
like
and
overworked the skin.
Yeah.
I think it depends too on the pigment.
Yeah. And I have no idea what they used.
We don't know if it's a high quality brand name.
Right.
Is it something they bought off Amazon? Like an off brand? Is it carbon? Is it iron oxide? We don't know. It can depend on how deep it was implanted, how saturated
right.
it
I
was.
Wasn't there. I don't know.
Yeah. Is the skin thick or thin?
Mm-hmm.
Is it oily or dry? I find pigment pulls and lightens better when the skin's thinner and dry.
Yeah.
When skin's thick and oily, for me personally, I find it takes a little bit longer. It might be more sessions on skin like that. Not always.
Yeah.
There's always exceptions to the rule.
Right.
And there's always curveballs thrown at you.
Yeah, and you're like surprised.
And
like,
surprises when you're doing removal. Yeah, just like when you're implanting, just like when you're tattooing eyebrows or eyeliner, right? There's your steadies, like, right?
Yeah.
Your percentages, but then there's always surprises.
Sometimes.
You always, you're going to get surprised a time or two.
I always feel like emergency removals that's another key part of the emergency part, because it's always like on my day off, or it's like I'm not there. So, and then you're like on call, you're like a nurse, like be right there.
Yes, Yes. Well, when I launched Li-FT, I think I didn't have an emergency removal video on there, session on there for the first 2 years.
Yeah, because when you guys updated it, you included that.
Yeah, you can't schedule that.
Right?
Yeah, and it was really bothering me. But
like we need that in there.
Schedule. Yeah.
How are you going to like coordinate that?
You can't.
Yeah. Wow.
So I had to wait for someone to call. I happened to be here.
And then get them to be like, yeah, you can record it.
And have them, agree to, okay, yeah, you can get and do you remember filming that, Olivia?
Yeah.
Was you there, Willow?
I was not, no.
I don't think you were there. I think it was just me and Olivia. And I'm like, come on, Olivia, we got one. We got one on the hook.
Got a live one.
And we just set up the cameras. Yes.
That's awesome.
And we did it. I was so grateful. I'm like, I've been waiting 2 years for all this to align and get an emergency removal procedure.
She's probably like
on the Li-FT course. Okay. No, she was awesome.
That's good.
She was super cool. She was just great. It couldn't have not have been a better client.
Oh, good.
She was just so easygoing and happy, and she was great. She was great.
The best candidate.
Yeah, super stoked.
That's fantastic.
So let me ask you, we're at about an hour. Are we about an hour?
Yeah.
Is there anything?
An hour.
I know. I could,
I could talk forever. Yeah.
So, me too. And sometimes I ramble and stuff. So I don't like to listen to my podcast back.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah. Like you hear actors like they don't like to watch their movies.
So I used to do acting and I've never watched anything I've been in.
No.
Not
I don't mind seeing myself on the camera so much. So, especially if I've had a good hair day. It's okay. That doesn't bother me so much. Sometimes I got flyaways and I'm like, ooh, man, Willow. You should have like pointed.
Hair and makeup. Let's go.
Should have paused and said, hey, you need some hair paste. But it's, sometimes like, I don't know. Like, I think I ramble sometimes, or I do the smacking things with my lips sometimes. And Willow is always so kind and gracious and always like, but that's what makes them like you. It's natural. It's real.
Makes you authentic.
It makes me. It's just you. It's
true.
You. It's real. We don't edit this.
Right.
It's real.
Yeah.
So
I do love that part.
I'm a flawed human being.
That's all right.
But anyway, so is there anything like I didn't ask you or we didn't hit on that you want to say real quick before we wrap it up?
So it was a good conversation.
It was a good conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you glad you took Li-FT all those years ago. I'm glad you're a Li-FT trainer. You're good at removal. You do a lot of them, Shelly.
I do.
Do you do more removals than you do PMU
when I was
procedures?
Traveling to Chicago every 3 months, that would be about 80% of my appointments. And I would work from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So imagine that. That is a lot of removals in a day.
Well, you're very good at it.
Thank you.
All right, let's wrap this up at 6 o'clock. My girl's got to go home.
All right.
So we like to wrap this up with a quote. Do you have a quote you want to like?
I feel like I had a rough last 2 years in my life. And I had a lot of people reach out to me and kind of say like, you've been inspiring to me. And I'm like, how have I been inspiring to you? Like, I don't know. It was hard for me to see that. So I feel like you are someone's inspiration. Like no matter in what way, like someone always sees everybody as their, little inspiration.
So let me see if this is what you're trying to say. I think I got it. So even though you, Shelly Kaplan, was in a kind of a rough 2 years with moving and relocating and building and all that, you were experiencing a rough time, maybe feeling down, a little defeated.
Yeah.
Were you depressed or sad?
Oh yeah.
But with all that, you were still other people's inspiration.
Yeah.
That's beautiful,
Isn't
man.
that cool?
Look at my hair on my I don't have that much hair on my arms, but that's pretty cool.
It was very heartwarming.
It is heartwarming.
For someone to be like, hey, and I went back to school actually last year and got my aesthetics license. Mm-hmm. And that was something I wanted to do for a long time. And people are like, that's so cool. You went back to school. You're like 40 years old. Like, who does that? I'm like, awesome. I thought I was nuts for going back to school at that age because I am not a 9-to-5er. I am not someone that gets up and I'm going to do the day. Like, I'm not like that at all. So to go back to school and do that from 8 a.m, to 4 for months straight, it was really tough for me, but it pulled me up out of where I was.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
well, thank you
cool.
Thank you for sitting down with me today.
Thank you.
Talking.
I had a wonderful time.
I did too. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
I can't wait.
In the training room.
Cannot wait.
All right, you guys. So remember that, you're going through a rough time. You're down. You're feeling defeated. That's okay. That too shall pass. And during those times, you're still somebody's inspiration. And that alone can be inspiring and uplifting. So I just think that's beautiful. And one last little reminder, beyond the epidermis, color theory and corrections checklist and workbook is ready. And we will be taking pre-orders shortly. Stay tuned. Follow us. We'll be announcing it. We'll be all over the place. And I can't wait for you to have it and use it. Thank you for joining me today on Tatter-a-fact. We will see you next time.